everyone, I'm Nikisha and this is Nikita Workshop. In today's video, I'm going to show you my process of how I make my laser cut name keychain. I'm going to divide the video into 4 parts. The first part is how to design the name keychain in Affinity Designer. The parts 2 will be how to cut the design on the laser machine. The third part is I use a way of finishing, which is UV resin. And the fourth part is how I package my keychains. Alright, so here's the keychain that we cut. Hold on. I'm gonna sound muffled. Hopefully it's not too bad. I'll just do a voiceover, but always for safety. Just to be safe in all your crafts. All right, so I leave the vent running, the fan running off the laser so I could pull the air out from me doing the resin as well. So let me show you how I resin this one. And then when I have multiple, I have a second stand. So while one curing, I have the other one getting set up. So I just check if I need to sand. If I do, then I lightly sand and then remove the dust. I use Let's Resin. So far, it's the only one that I've used that does not leave a sticky residue. So that's why I always use this one. I use sticks as well as a silicone brush when I'm doing the application of the resin. So I always start with the top because I know here is level. So I don't have any issues when I'm doming. So I begin with a very light layer of resin in the groove. If I use too much, then I just scoop it out. So I like to use the silicone brush to spread the resin on the inside. So the reason why I do layers is you want to reduce bubbling when you're applying the resin. So I'm just spreading the resin layer on the inside because I want to build from where it was cut and then build up. You can see too, like the resin is being absorbed into the wood, and that's kind of like what you want happening, because this first layer is going to be sealing the wood. You want to make sure you get all the grooves, the edges. Like I said, it needs to be a thin layer. So you don't want to see smooth surfaces in the first layer. And then just wipe off the excess. And this too, if as you see, some of the burn is coming out. So you want to remove all of that, because once you cure it, you can't remove them. So any specks or anything anywhere, you want to remove that. And a little bit more on this end. We want that layer to be nice and sealed. If you want to go over the outside layer, you can, but we have a few more layers before we even have to be concerned with like these edges. So let's see. You could tell. So you could still see like it's not totally smooth in the ridges. So any specks, I'll take those off. Now, even though it's light, I still go over with the lighter to remove any bubbles. And then I carry on the oven, the light. So the light that I have, it has a 30 and a 90-second counter. I always do 2 90 seconds to make sure that it's cured. That's the first layer. So now we're gonna do a second layer. So even with this layer, we're not gonna dome yet either. So we're only filling in the grooves, the engraving. Now with this layer, you can now resin everything. So like the engraved areas, the areas that are not engraved, we're gonna go over that with this first layer. Oh, second layer, rather. So now we're gonna go over everything. Still, we're gonna do a thin layer over everything. I think this is a little too much, so I'm going to remove some of the resin. I said we're not doming yet. We're just doing another thin layer over everything. some flames. Get rid of some bubbles. And then we're gonna cure. Yeah. So now we're gonna try and dome. I could do another layer here before doing a doming layer. That's fine too. So it just depends. You could look at it and see. How much to dome? I can't tell you. You need to look at the sample and see how it looks as you spread the resin to see if it's gonna dome the way that you want it to dome. And you could see, once you leave it to rest, you could see where the resin runs. So with the doming layer, I do 3 90 seconds. So I check, make sure it's not sticky. You can see in this corner we still had some bubbles. And so now I will do the other side. Here. On the underside, because there's no engraving, you could really do just 2 layers. One thin layer so that we don't have any bubbles. Okay, so try to take this all off. So it's not sticky. Like I did, I tested my thing before I take it off. So there it is. That's the back. There are no bubbles. Here's the front. Very little, we could barely see. I see a little bit of bubble on the inside of the G. But if you look straight on, you can't even tell. You see a little bit right here. Oh, oops, a little bit right here. But for the most part, it's like clear. So that's the process I use. If you do it too fast, so if you put the resin on too quickly without doing the layers, you can get a finish like this with all the bubbles in there. So this was a sample I did. Well, it wasn't supposed to be a sample, but this is one that I did. And because I resin or I dome it too quickly, we get all these bubbles in here. And here's another one. I didn't even finish the back because of how it looked. So you'll see another one with all the bubbles in there. So yes, it's a long process, but once you do it, the final outcome is good. I did try using like a spray sealant and I still got bubbles, so see, these are the outcome. So these were done. With the footage that got deleted. Let's see. So you see the method that I use is consistent. Like I said, yes, it takes a while, but the results are consistent. Little to no bubbles. You see all the backs. So you would have like, you would get some spillage, but if it doesn't impact the front, then I'm not worried about it. A little on the side is, I find to be no big deal. You could see where it goes down. And that's because we have sharp corners and the resin doesn't stay within the top. Sometimes it comes down. Plus the way I spread it, that probably helps with the spillage, but nothing major. So we have the one I just did. You have spillage there, right here. You see the spill. But even with that, it didn't even mess up the front. So I wouldn't worry about it. If it's a big deal, I would go in with a blade, but be careful. I've done where I try to take it out and it actually popped the back off. So I tend to just leave it. I thought I was gonna do, oh, this was gonna say. If you're worried about spillage on the front when you're doing the back, you could use latex glue. So this is a bottle of latex glue. It would take a little longer if you use latex glue because you have to put the glue onto the front. A thin layer of latex glue on the front, let it dry till it's clear, and then you can dome the back if you're worried about messing up the front. So I'll finish the others and then I'll put a clip in the end of how they all come out. Thanks for watching. Remember to thumbs up. Any questions, put in the comment below. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thanks and have a good day.